Asaduddin Owaisi has made another controversial statement, if I may say so, a statement completely unnecessary, provocative, and seen to be an attempt at religious polarization once again on an issue of terrorism. He joins us tonight. He's the Chief and Member of Parliament in the Lok Sabha of the All India Majlis Ittihad al-Muslimin, the AIMIM. Hitesh Jain of the BJP on the other side, and Mahesh Jethmalani, senior advocate, is taking on Asaduddin Owaisi as well. Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi, first question to you, and then we are going to open this up. Completely unnecessary, provocative. Let me ask you straight. With your remarks, you have tried to draw a distinction between Yakub Memon and the assassins of Rajiv Gandhi and Bian Singh. So are you saying that Yakub Memon is being singled out for execution because he's a Muslim and the others have been spared because they are not?
No, not at all. I am saying that Yakub Memon is also involved in the bomb blast of Mumbai. Let us be clear on that. Now, when it comes to awarding of capital punishment, the question which I have raised is that in the killers of Bian Singh, they have active support of Akali Dal, and that is why that capital punishment was not given to the killer. Please allow me to complete.
You are positioning yourself as an advocate of Yakub Memon. You are saying that Yakub Memon does not have any political backing because he's a Muslim, unlike the assassins of Rajiv Gandhi and Bian Singh. That's what you are saying.
The voice is cutting.
Mr. Owaisi, you can hear me?
Arnab, your voice is okay. Let me answer that. Let me answer that. I am putting forward a question in front of the nation that you have the ruling combination of BJP and Akali Dal in Punjab, which are kind of surrogate supporters of that killer, and he has not been given a capital punishment. You have in Tamil Nadu these regional parties who do not want to give capital punishment and who slept on that issue. Therefore, the Supreme Court was forced to commute it to life sentence. My question over here is that, and this is not what I said, Arnab, this was written by a first post editor-in-chief, Mr. Jagannath.
Don't shoot off somebody's shoulders. I'm not asking you what first post position is. I am asking you what your position is. 1 second. Are you saying, Mr. Owaisi, please hear me. I understand correctly and don't dodge it. You are trying to drive home a point that there is an institutional bias against Muslims and the execution of Yakub Memon is an example. Why shouldn't one think this is yet another desperate attempt by you to communalize the issue? You have tried to draw a distinction between him and the rest. Let me tell you, Mr. Owaisi, the decision to sentence Yakub Memon was upheld by none other than the highest court of the land. Mahesh Jethmalani on the other side, countering you with your opening comments. He's heard you. Mahesh Jethmalani, you've heard his basic introductory defense of his statements. Your response to it, please.
Well, I mean, one thing is for sure, Mr. Owaisi admits that his role in the bomb blast case of 1993, all he says is that because nobody else is championing his cause, such as those the Akalis did in the case of Bian Singh and Tamilian Party did in the case of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's killers, so he feels that it's somehow incumbent upon him to step forward and carry that mantle on behalf of Yakub Memon. Now, this is an absurd argument. We should not, I don't think you need to be a champion of such causes. Yakub Memon is being handled by his lawyers. He's already been to the Supreme Court on mercy petition.
Absolutely.
One being mentioned today. We should not talk about it too much anyway because the matter is almost sub judice before the Supreme Court. But the fact of the matter is he'll get his day again in court today after having been rejected. So I would request Mr. Owaisi, who otherwise I have a lot of time for, that please do not politicize this issue and particularly don't communalize the fact that Yakub Memon is a Muslim and rise to his defense in order to carve a vote bank base out for yourself.
Why are you doing this, Mr. Owaisi? You're a lawyer. The Supreme Court in March 2013 says that Yakub Memon assumes the role of Tiger Memon in India during his absence. It is the Supreme Court that says, for your kind information, Mr. Owaisi, that Yakub Memon's role cannot be viewed as distinct from Tiger Memon, who was the mastermind behind the blast. Do these facts, Mr. Owaisi, not matter to you? Do these facts not matter to you?
Can I answer your question and your observation?
Please.
Yesterday, an article written by an internal security expert, which India has, was fortunate enough to have, Mr. B. Raman. What did Mr. B. Raman wrote? Mr. B. Raman said that Yakub Memon should not have been given capital punishment. Mr. Raman even went to the extent of saying that mitigating circumstances were not put forward by the prosecution. Mr. Raman in his article said that Yakub Memon was deceived. Now, my question over here is that
you question the Supreme Court, therefore. No, therefore you question the Supreme Court. You do.
No,
you do,
no,
and let,
not at all.
You do, and let me tell you why. Mr. Owaisi, let me tell you why.
Not at all. These are your words.
You do, sir.
I have
you are insulting the Supreme Court of the country.
I have the highest respect for Supreme Court.
No, sir. You are insulting the Supreme Court of the country.
The prosecution deliberately failed. It is Mr. B. Raman who has written his article. Mr. B. Raman is there.
Mr. B. Raman is a security, has been a security.
My question over here, no, you have to allow me to say. My question over here is that why isn't the same policy been adopted for killers of Ben Singh?
That's where you are wrong again.
Same policy adopted for killers of Rajiv Gandhi. And why isn't the same policy adopted for killers like Babu Bajrangi and Maya Kodnani? Why should they get life? They should get capital punishment. Can the BJP government of the day give an assurance that the Asimanand, Pragya Thakur and Colonel Prohit would be given capital punishment?
Mr. Owaisi,
Sri Krishna Commission.
Mr. Owaisi, let me remind you. Let me remind you, though Mahesh Jethmalani has his hand raised, he'll respond to you. No, Mahesh Jethmalani has his hand raised, he will respond to you. But let me remind you, and I hate to do this on national television. On national television, I don't want to have to prove you so totally incorrect. Let me remind you why raking up the Rajwana and the assassins of Rajiv Gandhi is flawed. They were spared. Again, for your kind information, the news, not because of their innocence or because of any political intervention, but because there was inordinate delay in deciding their clemency petitions. Was that as a result of political prevarication? Yes.
Of political masters. The delay was because deliberate delay by the political.
Yeah, but does their vote bank politics justify yours?
There is an inherent bias.
But does their vote bank politics justify yours?
Political parties who are ruling. Whether it be Akali Dal, whether it be Congress, whether it be the AIDMK, DMK, whether it's BJP.
But Mr. Owaisi,
inherent bias in political
but Mr. Owaisi, answer a simple question. Answer a simple question, Mr. Owaisi.
Allow the delay to take its own course, so that these people are out to live.
But Mr. Owaisi
have done their work.
Mahesh Jethmalani,
our law is
Mr. Owaisi, Mahesh Jethmalani responding to you. The fact of the matter is that political backing for the likes of Rajwana and Rajiv's assassin is unjustified, just as you are speaking out against Memon's execution now and drawing a distinction between him and the rest. What you are doing in the case of Yakub Memon, sir, please hear me. What you are doing in the case of Yakub Memon now is
Prime Minister was killed.
What you are doing.
Cannot differentiate. I'm surprised that Arnab Goswami is differentiating acts of terrorism.
Mr. Owaisi,
Rajiv Gandhi, whether it's Mumbai bomb blast or whether it's killing of
Mr. J, 1 second. Mr. Owaisi, now you will hear me for 30 seconds and then Mahesh Jethmalani will respond. Mr. Owaisi, you need to listen to the other side. If you are going to make an accusation, then you need to listen to the other side, Mr. Owaisi.
I have to give back to you.
Mr. Owaisi, you can give back as you wish, but you need to listen to the other side. Mr. Owaisi, please, now listen to me, Mr. Owaisi. The fact of the matter is this, and now, please listen.
I don't want to hear. If you have a question, fine. I am ready to answer a question.
Here's the point.
But you cannot start. You give your personal opinion. Observation.
Mr. Owaisi, it's a democracy. I'll make a point and then Mahesh Jethmalani will take you on.
It is a democracy.
1 second, Mr. Owaisi. Mr. Owaisi.
You as an anchor cannot observe.
Mr. Owaisi, I am asking you a simple question. By the way, Mr. Owaisi.
About my nationalism.
Mr. Owaisi.
That is your opinion.
Mr. Owaisi, that is your...
I am concerned. I am raising a relevant point.
Mr. Owaisi, and I am
raising a relevant point.
So you need to listen to the other side. Now, Mr. Owaisi, the question is this. Mahesh Jethmalani responding to you. The fact of the matter is that political backing for the likes of Rajwana and Rajiv's assassins is unjustified. Just as you speaking out against Memon's execution now, allow Mahesh Jethmalani to respond to you. Just as you speaking out
in the Punjab and the Tamil Nadu
Sir, you need to listen.
Where was the nationalism at that time?
Sir, just as you speaking out against Memon's execution now and drawing a distinction between him and the rest is unjustified. What you are doing.
On the part of Tamil Nadu.
What you are doing. What you are doing.
Not being sent to
Okay, Mahesh Jethmalani will respond to you. Maybe you will hear him. What you are doing in the case of Memon is no different from the politics around the sentences of Rajiv's assassins and Rajwana. Now Mahesh Jethmalani responding to you, please. Mr. Jethmalani, please. Mr. Jethmalani, please. Sir, you are on facts. You are weak today.
Arnab, Mr. Owaisi, just give me 2 minutes. It's pouring rain over here and we have to all rush inside. Mr. Owaisi, just 2 minutes. Arnab, we've already dealt with the politicization by... We have already dealt with the politicization by Mr. Owaisi, that part about the Akalis, etc. But now let's come on to his defense.
Mr. Jethmalani, I cannot expect this statement from you. I am arguing on facts.
All right.
Please understand. That you as a lawyer can say that wasn't there a deliberate delay on the part of Punjab government? Wasn't a resolution passed by the Punjab Assembly in Tamil Nadu Assembly?
All that is unfortunate. I don't think that any... I am saying two wrongs don't make... Mr. Owaisi, I am saying that two wrongs...
come without travel documents to India.
Two wrongs don't make a right. I am not condoning.
Mr. B. Raman was our best man in Raw. Mr. Raman.
Okay, let me come to Mr. Raman. We've heard what you had to say about. Mr. Raman Owaisi. Now let me just tell you this. Mr. Raman may have a point of view, and first of all, if you want to pin your badge to Mr. Raman's views,
he was heading the investigation. He was responsible.
Yes, he was
CBI and IB officers.
He was heading the.
Yakub Memon, the whole 7 members of the family.
Yes,
Mr. Owaisi, please. Mr. Owaisi, listen to him.
Mr. Owaisi, you're going on a filibuster now. You're going on a one-way filibuster, and I thought as a Democrat at least I can understand your excessive obsession for politics, but at least you're a Democrat. Please listen to me now. All I'm saying is that Mr. Raman has a point of view. Yes, he was a high-ranking officer of RAW, and he was asked to get Mr. Memon back by some authorities in India when he was in Nepal approaching a lawyer. Now the facts of the matter are, Mr. Raman himself admits that he played a very pernicious role in the bomb blast, in the sense of he organized the training of certain terrorists in Pakistan. Then he got into the clutches of ISI and he was under their refuge. He came to, because the ISI was not giving him the treatment he expected to be accorded by the ISI, he came to Nepal to meet a lawyer to see if he would come back to India. Now, the fact that he was in the clutches of the ISI and then fell out with them doesn't make it a particularly strong ground, whatever Mr. Raman may say about his death sentence being commuted to life. If that's your strongest ground, I'm afraid you're extremely, extremely weak ground, because you have to first judge what role he played in the actual terrorist, in the 12 blasts that took place in 1993 on March 12. Please. And he has a very, very deep-rooted role there, and he aligned with the ISI and took refuge with them subsequently. That is bad enough itself. Anything he did subsequently, notwithstanding the personal opinion of Mr. Raman and notwithstanding Mr. Raman's credentials, is something which cannot compute his sentence from death to life. In any event, please put that before the Supreme Court. It can be put before the Supreme Court today, and let the Supreme Court consider it.
More than that, regardless of whatever Mr. Raman may or may not have said, it was the Supreme Court, Mr. Owaisi, which in March 2013 said that Yakub's involvement and the extent of it warranted capital punishment. That's an irrefutable observation of the Supreme Court. It was the Supreme Court which said that Yakub Memon was one of the driving spirit behind the plan. These are not issues that you wish to get into, because you know the argument there is weak. And Mr. Owaisi, let me also remind you, and you can counter me if you wish, that Yakub Memon, last question. Mr. Owaisi.
Am I saying Yakub is not involved? Am I saying that? No, I'm not saying that. The problem is, unfortunately, my 95-minute speech, which 7 minutes talked about this hanging, you only show 1 minute.
Mr. Owaisi, now you're backing off. Now you're backing off.
No, that is wrong.
Now I see you backing off because you realize you're on a weak footing.
I have the highest respect for Supreme Court.
Hitesh.
My question over here is that it is the duty of the prosecution to put forward the mitigating circumstances.
Just a minute.
Am I saying I do not respect the judgment of the Supreme Court?
Sir, if you respect the Supreme Court. Sir, one second. Mr. Owaisi, Hitesh Jain is coming in. Mr. Jethmalani, I thank you for...
My counter question to Arnab Goswami is, why is it that Arnab Goswami is differentiating one act of terrorism in Mumbai? Why is Arnab Goswami going soft on killers of Bain Singh? Why is Arnab Goswami not talking about giving capital punishment to killers of ex-Prime Minister? How can you differentiate?
Mr. Owaisi,
you are differentiating.
Mr. Owaisi, one second, Mr. Owaisi, I request you to understand today Mahesh Jethmalani is getting drenched in the rain in the course of this debate. Hitesh, I'm just coming to you. But since you took my name 3 times, one second, and I can respond to you at length, I will make a brief intervention so you don't have the impression that your questions went unanswered. But after that, you will have to let Mahesh Jethmalani respond only for the fact that he is drenched in the rain in this debate. Now, Mr. Owaisi, let me remind you. Can you hear me, Mr. Owaisi? Let me remind you that the Supreme Court, which you say you have the highest respect for, are you there, Mr. Owaisi? We've lost the line with Mr. Owaisi. We're going to connect him back. We are going to connect him back in a few seconds. Mahesh Jethmalani, till then, please. Mahesh Jethmalani. Can you hear me, Mr. Owaisi? No, 1 second. Can you hear me? 1 second. Okay, Mr. Jethmalani, make your point and then I'll respond to him. Go ahead. Okay, 1 second. He's back. He's back, so let me make my point to him. Mr. Owaisi, since you are now back, let me remind you, Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi. Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi, let me remind you that I am quite surprised today that a person of your eminence, a trained barrister, should be unaware of what the Supreme Court observations in this case have been. And therefore, let me remind you and let me request you to counter me legally if you can, if I am wrong, that the Supreme Court of this country had slammed the politics of mercy petitions and the politicization of sentences handed over acts of terrorism. It said so on 29th March 2012 in the case of Devinder Pal Singh Bullar, which you are conveniently forgetting. And therefore, what you are doing now in the case of Yakub Memon is exactly what the Supreme Court spoke against. Now, Mahesh Jethmalani with his counterpoint, and then we'll hear you. Mr. Jethmalani.
Yes. Arnab, just a question that Mr. Owaisi posed to you, that why didn't you take up the cases of the others as vehemently as you are taking up the case against Mr. Yakub Memon? Let's just make it clear to Mr. Owaisi that there is no, if he is trying to suggest some kind of bias on anybody's part, mine, yours, anybody's, there is no such bias. I have gone publicly and said that the politics of campaigning for terrorists, no matter what people may feel about them, in an attempt to get them commuted from death to life, is reprehensible. Now, there's only one distinction why we are more vehement about Yakub Memon than the others. Bain Singh killed, the assassins of Bain Singh killed an individual. So also did the assassins of Rajiv Gandhi. Here, there was an attack on 270, it was an attack on the sovereignty of India, 217 people, and by the ISI, a sworn enemy of this country. Forget Pakistan, this is the ISI, and a state within a state whose only agenda is to subvert and destroy India. How can you sympathize with them, with anybody
purely for vote bank politics
to commit terrorist attacks?
Purely for vote bank politics.
Mr. Jethmalani, you are conveniently forgetting that as ISI is a grave threat to India, so is LTT, so is the Khalistani group.
My God.
They are all one. There is no difference. There might be difference in the name.
Are you making an argument for the ISI?
How can you differentiate? How can you differentiate that LTT is lesser evil than the ISI?
You're actually defending the ISI?
That the Khalistanis are lesser evil than the ISI. Killing of a sitting chief minister killing of an ex-prime minister and the Mumbai blast are all...
Hitesh Jain, countering you, Hitesh Jain. Hitesh Jain is countering you. What's Hitesh Jain is countering?
Talking about Khalistan and LTT, what is most outraging and most outrageous and shocking than Mr. Owaisi now defending ISI? I mean, to that extent we have gone down that we are politicizing a death sentence, and now sitting in India we are giving a certificate to ISI. This is most shocking and outrageous today. I mean, Mr. Owaisi can politicize, it is his constituency, he has to, for his vote bank politics, he can make any shocking statement, but to justify and now support ISI, I think it is a horrible kind of politics that is being played out.
No, not at all. Not at all. I hope that you learn.
Mr. Owaisi, this is shocking that person of your stature, you are a member of parliament also, and you are supporting ISI who is waging war against India. I mean, we can understand. I can understand you can talk for your mercy petition for Yakub Memon. You can talk. In fact, the debate should have been today is the judicial process. It took 18 years to hand over the statement. Instead of talking about that, the delay that took, every opportunity that is used, five attempts that are being made, 4 attempts being made to the Supreme Court. And what are we doing? We are talking and politicizing the issue of death sentence. This is shocking, Mr. Owaisi.
No, Mr. Owaisi,
52 people have been convicted so far in India. 52 people have been sentenced to death. And we have, every time there is a death sentence, whether it is a Hindu or a Muslim, there is always a debate. There is always the people in the society.
Mr. Owaisi, come back to the subject. Come back to the subject, Mr. Owaisi.
That debate is fine. But
come back to the subject, Mr. Owaisi. Okay, I'll ask Mr. Owaisi. I have one question to you. Mr. Owaisi.
According to me, the terrorism has no religion.
Mr. Owaisi, my question to you now, my turn.
NIA gives capital punishment to
my turn.
Asiman.
It's my turn now, Mr. Owaisi.
What is BJP talking about?
Mr. Owaisi, it's my turn now. You are on the back foot. You are already on the back foot, Mr. Owaisi. And now you need to face my questions.
Look at their policy of imparting justice.
Mr. Owaisi, don't make it political.
These political parties,
Mr. Owaisi,
being in power,
Mr. Owaisi, don't make it political. Don't make it political, because I now need to get you. Because Mr. Owaisi, let me. The point being this. The point being this.
I have not come on Times now to do philosophy.
Mr. Owaisi.
I have come now to debate.
Yes, Mr. Owaisi. Neither is this.
Goswami can become modern day Aristotle, but I am not, unfortunately.
Mr. Owaisi, and neither is this show tonight or this very relevant debate an exercise in empty dialectic or rhetoric. I need to tell you this. The point being made, and the point needs to be made very firmly to someone like you. The question is this. The question is this. Yakub.
Listen to your sermon, Arnab Goswami. You asked me a question.
Will you listen to the question? Why are you being impatient? Listen to my question. The fact is this. Now I give you an example. Mr. Owaisi, you want me to put a question mark behind every sentence and present it to you in a photocopy so that you understand it's a question and not an observation. I present to you a fact. You can present a counterfact.
I can read.
I'll present a fact. You present a counterfact.
But you are sermonizing me. Don't sermonize
Mr. Owaisi. Mr. Owaisi.
I definitely have a different viewpoint from you.
Yes, and Mr. Owaisi.
That is the beauty of democracy.
And Mr. Owaisi, in this democracy, I have a completely different point of view from you. I will now present you one fact. You can counter me with that. My first point is, and my first fact is, Yakub Memon was given full recourse to the law, and his execution will come after he has exhausted all options. Fact of the matter, and someone like you should have understood this, that religion has nothing to do with this death sentence. Let me remind you, Mr. Owaisi, that Dhananjay Chatterjee, sentenced to death for raping and murdering a minor, religion had nothing to do with his execution. I can talk to you about Narayan Apte in 1949, Dhananjay Chatterjee in 2004, Nathuram Godse, Afzal Guru, Ajmal Kasab, Otto Shankar, Kehar Singh, Satwant Singh, Sukhdev Singh. Then religion had nothing to do with these cases. You know this. Point number 2, Mr. Owaisi. We as a news channel, because you made an unfair observation and you have to be countered on this. We as a news channel have taken an extremely tough position against the politics surrounding the killers of Beyan Singh and Rajiv Gandhi, and there is no reason for us to treat your comments any differently. Don't you know what the Supreme Court said in the Maruram versus Union of India case? That, quote, political vendetta or party favoritism cannot be interlopers in this area. The order, which is a product of extraneous or malafide factors, will vitiate the exercise. That is my observation to you. Now do respond.
I cannot answer to all this barrage of questions.
These are some factual observations. This is not a barrage.
Rajiv Gandhi's killer.
Counter me.
Out of 309 people who have been handed death sentence, only 52 have been convicted. What about those 257 people? Again, you cannot divide on the religious basis. So it is not the case where Yakub Memon or Ajmal Kasab or Afzal Guru, they were singled out.
Absolutely. Now counter me.
Mr. Owaisi wants to speak on the facts.
Now counter me.
On the facts, there are 309 people who were awarded death sentences, out of which only 52 people have been convicted. And out of 21 executions carried out in last 21 years, it is only 3 Muslims who were there, if he wants to talk about the statistics also. So it is a dangerous political terrain to talk about the terrorism on the basis of religion and politicizing.
Hanging to Maya Kodnani and Babu Bajrangi, appeal to the High Court that the life is not enough to Maya Kodnani and Babu Bajrangi. And
this debate is not about Babu Bajrangi.
Sorry.
No, 1 second. Mahesh Jethmalani, only Mahesh Jethmalani and Asaduddin Owaisi. Mahesh Jethmalani and Asaduddin Owaisi.
Arnab, just a last word. Arnab, we just had a last word. We should now wait the outcome of the Supreme Court decision on the second mercy petition. I'm sorry, the pleasantries of having to debate you, Mr. Jain and Mr. Owaisi on this channel are outweighed by the offense being caused by the rain. So I really have to go now. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mahesh Jethmalani, let you go. Thank you very much for bearing the rain there for us, but I haven't finished there with Mr. Owaisi. Now, Mr. Owaisi, you appear to be on the back foot. It is quite clear and evident. That's my observation.
No, I'm not.
You can take it as one.
I am not.
I haven't finished.
I will never be on the back foot.
I haven't finished.
On the front foot. You have called me Times Now. It's an honor to be on Times Now because people who are on back foot don't come on Times Now. I have come here on front foot to take on Arnab Goswami and his panel. So don't even ever dream about that Asaduddin Owaisi will be on back foot.
Okay, so Mr. Owaisi, you are on record right now. Was it bias that Yakub Memon's mercy plea was rejected by the President of India in March 2014? Was it bias?
Mr. Arnab Goswami, in my initial remarks, I have said that I have the utmost respect for the judicial decisions. But in the light of what the prosecution wrote...
Sir, I haven't finished. I haven't finished.
The mitigating circumstances were not put forward.
Mitigating circumstances... Sir, mitigating circumstances have to be outweighed. Mr. Owaisi.
I believe that those investigating officers, I don't know, they... please understand that those investigators
now, Mr. Owaisi, Mr. Owaisi,
and ask them.
Mr. Owaisi,
did you make a deal with Yakub Memon?
No, Mr. Owaisi, you need to hear me this now. You see, Mr. Owaisi, okay, you are on the front foot, let me assume. If you are on the front foot, answer my second and third questions.
You need not assume I am on the front foot.
Was it bias that his review petition was dismissed by the Supreme Court in April 2015? Was it bias that his curative petition was rejected by the Supreme Court last week? And finally, allow me to complete. Was it bias that he filed another mercy petition before the President and an appeal before the Supreme Court?
The question over here is that the role played by prosecution. The question over here is that the role played by political parties in power. The question over here is that the role played by political parties in power, they have a different view. They viewed in different way in Punjab. They viewed in different way in Tamil Nadu. They viewed in different way when it comes to Maya Kodnani, Babu Bajrangi. I challenge the BJP to show to the nation that Asimanand, Colonel Prohit will also be given capital punishment.
Mr. Owaisi, are you not a political party or are you an NGO? And what about your role? What are you doing which is any different from those you are criticizing? Please, a sliver of honesty will do you no harm.
In your eyes, I might not be a relevant person. Thank you, no problem.
I have only said that you are a political party, another politician.
But let me tell you that I have a viewpoint. This is my freedom of expression. I will continue to say what I believe is right. I need not be guided by BJP. I need not be guided by anyone. I am putting forward these questions in the Newshour debate to the whole nation. Let the nation decide.
So if on the Newshour, at the end of 35 minutes of debate, Asaduddin Owaisi says only a part of my speech was taken. Asaduddin Owaisi says there is absolutely no bias in the process. Asaduddin Owaisi says the full recourse to the law was offered to Yakub Memon and the extent of it warranted capital punishment. Then I want to ask Asaduddin Owaisi. Then I want to ask Asaduddin Owaisi. Why is it, Mr. Owaisi? Why is it, Mr. Owaisi? Why is it, Mr. Owaisi?
This is the grave.
Why is it, Mr. Owaisi?
This is the grave injustice.
Why is it, Mr. Owaisi?
Commission report. What about people who led the demolition of Babri Masjid, who have become home ministers?
Now you're changing the subject. Now you're changing the subject.
If Babri Masjid, Sri Krishna Commission had said that the demolition of Babri Masjid was the original sin.
Mr. Owaisi, we are not giving a political speech over here. Let's focus on the topic. That
it is not a
death
political
sentence and execution of Yakub Memon. Let's not get into a different debate now.
Commission report. I know it is not music to your ears to the BJP spokesperson. I know that you cannot answer on Sri Krishna Commission because you are as liable.
Mr. Owaisi, let's not politicize. Those are different topics. And on that also the judicial process was followed. It is not that no process was followed on the Sri Krishna Commission also.
That demolition of Babri Masjid original sin. Who are these original sinners?
Sri Krishna Commission did not adjudicate or did not conduct a trial onto whatever happened. There was a trial that took place and the judicial process was followed in the case of all the cases that you are mentioning.
People who have led demolition of Babri Masjid talk about cleaning of Ganga. Shame on that political establishment.
Mr. Owaisi, how is that going to justify your politicizing the issue of Yakub Memon? Mr. Owaisi, please tell me how is that going to justify the execution of Yakub Memon?
In your eyes, I am the worst politician. I am the worst person.
Mr. Memon, please do not try to unnecessarily. Please also answer then about 257 people who were awarded the death sentence and who have not hanged. Mr. Owaisi, please talk about that.
And Babu Bajrangi.
No, Mr. Owaisi, please also answer. The facts are very clear. 309 people were awarded death penalty, out of which only 52 people have been executed. Then what about those 257 people? Why are we only selecting
in my mouth until I die? I'm going to reply to you.
Mr. Owaisi, there is no precedent whereby all people facing capital punishment should all be executed at the same time. So that's completely strange, your argument.
Mr. As far
as Afzal Guru. No, Mr.
Observation does not suit you.
It's not an observation. The question is this. Therefore. Mr. Owaisi,
you are talking about Raman.
Mr. Owaisi, the question is this is not an observation, a simple question to you. A question to you, sir. A question to you. Have the patience to listen. Have the patience to listen, sir.
That suits your point of view and then politicize. When you cannot make a statement, you want to politicize the issue and then you go on a back foot and then you say Mr. Raman said and Mr. X said and Mr. Y said. If you believe in a topic, then say specifically so instead of relying on Mr. Raman and somebody. You agree with the judicial process, you agree that he was a culprit, you agree that the verdict is wrong and still you want to politicize. This is shocking and outrageous what you are doing.
Mr. Raman knew more about security than you
Please don't pick, what about the victims, the relatives of the victim who lost their relatives during the blast? What about their views?
Mr. Raman's view.
Why are you not considering the views of those victims? More than 200 people died. Even those families are suffering.
Mr. Owaisi, one second. Mr. Owaisi, let's take one example. One example. Mr. Owaisi, in May 1979, a person called Kampatimar Shankaria was sentenced to death for executing 70 people with a hammer, an Indian serial killer. Was he executed? Was he hung? Because no Hindu political party came to speak for him. Point number 2, Afzal Guru, I want to know your position on Afzal Guru. He was hung in February 2013 for the 2001 Parliament attack. Was that not a fair process, a process as fair as the one which was offered to Ajmal Kasab, Bian Singh and Satwan Singh? Be factual tonight.
Do you want me to answer on it?
Yes, I am waiting. I am waiting. I hope you'll be factual at least now.
Arnab, let me refresh your memory. Let me refresh your memory. I'm surprised that you're forgetting nowadays. You should be continuously on Times Now because this gap is affecting your memory. Let me remind you, Mr. Arnab Goswami, that on your TV channel, I had welcomed the capital punishment to Ajmal Kasab. You talk about Afzal Guru. Why wasn't his wife informed? Don't we have, as a nation, we should have courage.
Was the process followed for Afzal Guru? Was the process followed for Afzal Guru? Was the process followed for Afzal Guru?
I am not questioning.
Was the process followed for Afzal Guru?
Court judgment.
Was the process followed for Afzal Guru, sir?
That the political
sir, again dodging. I am sorry. I am sorry, Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi. It appears to me tonight. It appears to me tonight, and Mr. Owaisi, it appears to me tonight. It appears to me tonight you've run out of arguments, and you also should be on Times Now quite often so that you can refresh your memory on these issues.
Not given capital punishment.
Mr.
Arnab Goswami, this is a reality.
Mr. Owaisi, what is a reality is that you've been unable to answer a basic question your point is, Mr. Owaisi, you want to go around on public platforms. You want to go around on public platforms and make speeches which are provocative.
Satisfy your aggressiveness. How can
Mr. Owaisi, you want to go around on public platforms. You say one thing on Newshour and one thing in public speeches.
I am not a musician to soothe your ears. But I am here to give my viewpoint. You have the right to disagree with me. Fine, fantastic. But I have a viewpoint. I will continue to say that. That will be the end of the day for me. If I start agreeing to what Arnab Goswami says, I will never do that.
Mr. Owaisi, you need to understand what the Supreme Court says, not what I say.
No, I don't need to understand.
The Supreme Court has said. The Supreme Court has said. One second. The Supreme Court.
We are not discussing about Supreme Court. We are discussing about the problem with the political parties in power. They are the real culprits.
And what are you, Mr. Owaisi? Aren't you a political party?
An act of terror. I am not a ruling party.
Are you not a political party?
I wish I was in power.
Are you not politicizing this? Aren't you going to go around making speeches on this subject for votes?
I wish I was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. I wish I was the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. But I know I will never be.
Then say tonight, Mr. Owaisi. Then say tonight. Then say tonight on Times Now. Then say tonight on Times Now, and you are live, Mr. Owaisi. Say tonight on Times Now. And I will record this comment. I will play it out. And each time you make a provocative speech, I will play this out to you. Say tonight on Times Now that Yakub Memon deserves to die because he has followed the entire process and every process has been exhausted and his execution happens only after he's exhausted all options. And say tonight that anyone who says that the process has not been followed, that this man has not been given full recourse to the law after all his deeds, is simply trying to communalize the situation. Say so, Mr. Owaisi. Otherwise, it will be the third U-turn that you are making. The first, your speech. The second, your initial observations on Newshour. And your third now.
Newshour debate. This is not a confessional debate in front of some holy man.
Why? I'm asking you a question. Why are you backing off now?
You are not a man of God that I should confess to you that
I'm asking you to give your point of view clearly. You can't speak one language in a television program and one language out in your provocative speeches out there, Mr. Owaisi.
Understand that. No, you are a TV anchor. Now you're wearing the robes of a holy man, for God's sake.
Mr. Owaisi, please don't presume what I am or not. Mr. Owaisi, answer my question.
God is different.
Answer the question, Mr. Owaisi.
Let me answer you. What you call provocative is the truth. And I'll continue to say the truth, whether you like it or not.
So is the truth?
You can call it provocative, you can call it bhadkao bhashan.
Is the truth?
Be rest assured that so long as I live, I will continue to speak.
Mr. Owaisi, is it the truth that is it the truth?
Which in your thought process
is it the truth? Last question to you. Last question, Mr. Owaisi. One more opportunity. One more opportunity. Last question to you.
And communalize and polarize. You will not do anything beyond that. You will only polarize and communalize and pander to your vote bank politics. That is what you are going to do, Mr. Owaisi.
When it comes to different acts
Mr. Owaisi, last question to you. Please answer straight. Don't obfuscate.
Some more questions.
Don't obfuscate. Don't obfuscate. Don't obfuscate. Don't obfuscate, because what you are doing now is pure and simple obfuscation.
No, not at all.
Pure and simple obfuscation.
Last question.
Mr. Owaisi, it is a fact. It is a fact. It is a fact that your comments on Yakub Memon were part of a speech in which you made several observations regarding what you felt were the right or wrong interests of the Muslim community, and therefore please understand this.
Not at all.
You need to.
I have never used the word Muslim for Yakub Memon. I challenge you to show me.
I said it was in the course of a speech where there were several references. Mr. Owaisi, I will repeat what I said. It will repeat what I said. You remember this, Mr. Owaisi. When you made the comments on Yakub Memon, you were making it in a certain context. Don't slip away from that. You were speaking of the beef ban. You were speaking of reservation for Muslims in Maharashtra.
Understanding of Urdu.
You were speaking of. I have enough understanding, Mr. Owaisi, more than you think.
Now research staff, and they are fantastic. I know I have met them.
Mr. Owaisi,
please have an Urdu knowing person.
Mr. Owaisi,
give an exact.
Mr. Owaisi, you were speaking about iftar. You were speaking about iftars, beef ban and Muslim reservation. So there was a certain context in which you started speaking about the first post article. I'm not into that. I want you to say tonight. I don't want you to obfuscate. I want you to say one simple thing tonight, if you believe so, or contradict me, that anyone who says that the process has not been followed for Yakub Memon, that full justice has not been given to him, full recourse of law has not been given to him, the full extension of the law, that opportunity to exhaust all his options has been given to him. Anyone who says that is uttering a lie. Can you simply say so? Why are you not answering a simple question asked you 10 times tonight?
Allow me to answer, Mr. Goswami. Allow me to answer. I stand by each and every word of my speech.
Again, I want you to answer my question. I don't want you to repeat your speech.
Mr. B. Raman, who happens to be a great son of our soil, who happens to know more about internal and external security than you and me. I stand by each and every word.
You are again shooting over everyone else's shoulder, Mr. Owaisi.
This is my reply to you.
You are shooting over everyone else's shoulder, Mr. Owaisi. Well, Mr. Owaisi, I personally don't believe these attempts at polarization go very far. But you seem to have a constant need to go to it. That's your right, but I think we're walking a very dangerous path. I thank you very much for joining me.
I'm happy that because of my rightful things, you keep calling me to times.
I call you because I've called you on this so that you can be proven wrong.
And I'll be honored to come again.
Thank you, Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi and Hitesh Jain.
Debating you and all the BJP
Thank you. Let our viewers decide whether you answered the questions. In my view, you didn't answer many questions, but you have a right to think otherwise.
No, I did.
Thank you, Mr. Owaisi and Hitesh Jain, for joining me on Newshour Debate 1 tonight. Thank you.